very simple, very comfortable. That's the jewel in this boat. And go sailing right now. Hi there, this is Captain Q. Join us as we travel hither and yon to show you some great deals on some really interesting boats and maybe learn just a little bit with each one.
Captain!
Yep.
Where are you?
Oh, hey buddy. I'm up here. We're gonna do this boat today. So I want to try this product called Un-Duz-It.
Un-Duz-It?
Un-Duz-It. It's a really cool soap that you just add about 2 or 4 ounces to a gallon. It's biodegradable. I could almost drink it, but don't do that. No.
You need a hand?
Yeah, I think I do. Yep, come on up.
All right.
This is the stuff. It's for boat and RV wash, and it removes dirt and grime and grease and oils, and it won't strip the wax. If you've got some wax on your clear gel coat, it doesn't take the wax off. It's good for the fiberglass boats and even metal boats as well, and metal RVs. It's good for wood, painted surfaces, and natural and synthetic rubber, even canvas and vinyl. So it's pretty harmless to most things except dirt. I'm just going to put in a couple of ounces. Boom, boom, boom. Did you see the gunk that was down in the rail down here?
I did, yeah.
It's gone. It's gone. If I had time, I would love to do their whole boat.
I think we might just have to do that.
The whole boat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's leave it better than we found it. Isn't that what you always tell me?
That is our work ethic. But I'm going to let you help me.
Of course.
This is biodegradable, phosphate-free, ammonia-free, chlorine-free, and no hydrocarbons in it. Amazing stuff.
So that you don't feel bad about washing it over the side if you're out?
No. And frankly, I'm really pretty impressed with this, what I've seen so far. We do want to take a second to thank our friends from Un-Duz-It for sponsoring the episode.
It keeps us chugging along.
It does, keeps us chugging along. If you want to, under the Show More button, you'll find a link to Un-Duz-It, and you can get some for yourself. Give it a try. Okay, Randy, welcome to the world of Leon Slickers. Leon Slickers was born in 1928, and he was born onto a farm in Michigan. And he decided early on that he didn't really want to become a farmer, so he went off to try to get a job at Chris Craft. At the age of 18, he went to work for them. He went there as an apprentice in the woodworking shop. He stayed there for 10 years, but in 1949, my father bought his first power boat, and it was a 49-foot Chris Craft. So I know that Leon probably had a thumbprint in the varnish on my dad's boat somewhere, which is really cool.
That's pretty cool.
It's really cool.
Do you have any real memories there? Did you learn to water ski or anything off of it?
I do remember falling off it and nearly drowning one time. I also remember playing checkers at the Galley table as we rolled down the East River on the way to Florida, with my parents both saying, come on up and take a look at New York City. And we were too busy down there. Of course, I was only 5 or 6 at the time, I think. In about 1952, he and a friend would build a wooden boat in his garage, and they did that, and they really enjoyed it. In 1956, 10 years after joining Chris Craft, he went up to the president of Chris Craft and said, I want to go build really good boats for people that are affordable, and went out and opened up his little own wooden boat business, which was then sort of called Slick Craft, which I think of as sort of a fairly euphonious moniker, if you will. Then around 1958-59, he'd heard about this fiberglass business, and he spoke with a fellow locally who was building chairs out of fiberglass, and that man convinced him that fiberglass was the way of the world. So he started to get into it. In 1969, AMF company was gathering up all sorts of other companies, and they took him on too. So he stepped away from leadership of it. So he got himself a designer, Arthur Edmonds. And Arthur Edmonds had been doing some design work for Allied Boat Work, and they worked well together, and Edmonds ended up designing almost all of the new sailboat company's boats, and the sailboat company was called S2. I don't know where S2 came from. I could only think the S was for Slicker, and the 2 was his second company. So that's my guess. In this particular model, they started, I think, in 77. This exact boat was built in 79. Not heavy-duty racers. This is not like a C&C or some of the boats that are just so flat-out racy. But she's very, very simple, very comfortable hull to her, looking down to the shape. We've seen these 4 foot of these boats that gets cut away down here, and this one is not. It's really quite deep. So there's a little more wetted surface on this boat. They're fairly full bilges. They're not flat. A lot of room for tankage and storage inside. The keel is not remarkable in that it is not more of a fin. This particular boat has a nice 3-bladed Michigan prop on her. We like to see our zincs on there. They are definitely time to be replaced. And she has a line cutter, one of the old line cutters here. Sometime not too far down the line, it's time to blast it and replace the paint.
Yeah, would you do that before you splash it in, or would you
No. Once again, this is a right in the water.
Yep.
Next week. Here's a skeg to help support and protect. This is more protection than anything else for this rudder, and also help it to keep from stalling. But when you look at the overall bottom down here and you notice the curve of the bilge and the breadth of the keel, you see there's a fair amount of wetted surface, right?
Yep.
And wetted surface equals drag, and drag means you're going to go a little bit slower. But again, the average sailor will never notice it, and well sailed, this boat will just stay right up with a whole lot of boats her same size. And be very comfortable at sea and easy to steer. Reverse transom here, but it's not radical. It's a boat that doesn't show age, somebody once wrote. And I tend to agree. But I think we ought to go up on board and take a look.
Yeah.
Would you like to see that?
Let's do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Here we go.
I'm heading up. Okay, Randy, here we are up topside. What we would like our viewers to totally understand, this is probably one of the cleanest boats we've seen yet. The cockpit is simple as can be. There's nothing to catch you up. There's room to get around the wheel. The wheel's nice size. There is throttle and clutch on the helm here. A couple of things are sort of fun. Notice that it has a black pedestal, and somewhere over in the mast rack we will find a black mast.
Oh.
In the S2s, it was sort of a little bit of a trademark of theirs to have a black mast. Nice, comfortable helmsman seat here. No extra humps or whatever, not really necessary on this particular boat. Coamings are deep enough. They're very deep further forward. And what also is nice too is the main sheet, Traveler, is right behind the helmsman. So you're going to have a 4-part or 6-part tackle come down here and just honk in on that, and the boom will come back, and the main sheet's going to come down probably at a slight angle. You might have to watch your head a little bit back here, but not much. Just getting it out of the way is worth the price of the occasional ducking job. We've got a bilge pump location down here. Again, the helmsman can pump the bilge as well as steer the boat. Instrumentation, this boat is not loaded with instrumentation. We have a couple of pieces right here in front of us that should be Ray Marine, which is adequate. This is the autopilot right here. And on the other side, this one's called the Tri-Data. I think this is going to give you your depth, speed, and mileage on there. So this is all you really need for a cruising boat here up in Maine. I think there's a GPS someplace, so you're going to be able to see exactly where you've gone on an electronic map, and that'll live right here. So this is simple and clean and neat as can be here. Comfortable cockpit. This is not a boat that's going to take about 20 people. You're going to have another couple yourself, and there's plenty of room on these large settees here, and they're long enough to stretch out on.
What do you have underneath the...
Underneath the aft thing, we've got storage and dock lines and your bumpers, and there's also a cap here for your emergency tiller. And we have more lines here, and a big piece of wood there. What is that?
Looks like a bosun's chair.
It is a bosun's chair. Always a good thing to have on a boat. Instrumentation is for a Westerbeek 30 engine, and that's, I always like to see nice clean gauges with clean unvarnished bezels. It's very nice. Now, one thing that sort of caught my eye when I first came aboard, and I had to think once or twice for a second, I said, I think this boat has a very good stove and oven. What do they use for gas? And often we see propane lockers aft here, right? Well, I opened this puppy up, and whoa!
Oh, wow.
That's the biggest propane tank I've ever seen, except it's not propane. That's LNG, which is lighter than air, and you can just have it sit like this. So as I opened this hatch just now, if there had been any gas leak when I opened this hatch, it would just blow up into the air. And I don't mean blow up, I mean it would just blow out into the air.
So from a safety factor.
Very safe. Very safe. LNG is very safe.
Safer than propane?
Propane is very dangerous, actually.
Yep.
You have to be extra careful with propane. You have a couple of different switches to turn it on and turn it off, and ventilation is critical. This is almost like just breathing air. Very nice, clean, neat locker here. Notice we can see the fuel tank right there. That's very tidy. Very tidy. Should we take a walk around the deck?
Yeah, let's do
while
that.
we're up here? I love this because it's not a huge boat with a lot of room to grab stuff, but these right here will get you halfway up one side of the boat. The non-skid is pretty grippy. It's not going to tear your skin off, but you'll know it if you go down on your knees. But it's also going to keep you on the boat, and we like that part. This boat is set up with spinnaker gear, so it's got the pole and the sheets and lines for it. They do not have a spinnaker that comes with it. Everything is substantial, though. All this stuff, the bow pulpit, all the trim around the, look at the extra plates around the cleats here. And there's a nice rope locker for all your road. There's a couple hundred feet of road in there, I bet. And if you look up at the bow, you'll see a fortress anchor, which is relatively light. They're not the best on mud, as I recall, but they're great on sand. The forward hatch opens all the way up. This is double gasketed. Notice this. This is really nice. It's a piece of plexiglass here. It's very thick, very heavy plastic there. And this will just flop over and mate on not just one, but two rings of water protection. So it's going to keep you dry up in that forepeak.
And then a nice little solar vent. Is that a solar one?
And there's a little solar vent on here as well. Good eye. A Marine Cove solar vent, so this is solar operated, and you have a little fan that'll just get air moving through the boat.
Yep.
I think I'd kind of like to see that with an adjustable arm on it, but that certainly works fine. Notice too, as we go by the mast step, the mast is stepped on deck, and you can see the various blocks to lead lines for reef lines, halyards, and so forth back to the cockpit. What do you say we take a look below?
Yeah, let's do it.
Come on.
All right.
Follow me down. I'm going to assume the position and take a look about you as you come down here. Nice L-shaped settee that that will convert. It's got the lip there for conversion to a nice big double berth. The backs of that seat will come over and fill in here, and the table will come off and sit down on the lips down here. On this particular boat, this very nice fabric on the cushions. What they've done with this boat too, they've lined the whole interior of the hull. It's a bit of an economy measure, but they've lined it with sort of a burlap type of thing in some places, and in others kind of a carpety look. It's a little different, and it's kind of nautical actually. The overhead, and it's got some slight bulges in it. Probably a little moisture has gotten to the cloth, and it's shrunk and it's popped a little bit, but it's hardly an issue. What do you think's behind this?
Storage?
No. What is that? That's our old sneaky foot place, right?
Yeah.
That's where you can put your size 22s in there. And so it really is a full-length berth. And that's nice. We like that. The galley, 30-footer. We've got plenty of room here to make sandwiches. And there's a really nice deep sink here, surprisingly, for a 30-footer. I think Leon did a lot of things that we liked back then, way before. This boat was built in '79, designed in '77. And
I can kind of tell by the color scheme of the counter.
Well,
and
it's not the avocado. And you've got storage up here for canned goods and glassware and all that sort of thing, right?
Well, seems
a lot of room in there. That's nice, and it's a double-sided piece. So they're an advocate, which is great. But you notice they've just gone with the single large can because this is really a boat for 4 people ideally. So that's all you need. And we have down here we have the refrigeration box, and I want to just check on that for 1 second. Yep, we have a refrigeration unit in there. And that's plenty big and nice. So a nice little galley. And if you do want to cook offshore and make bread, we have a 2-burner LNG gas system. That's that big tank we saw in the cockpit.
Yep.
Lighter than air. These originally came with just a little 2-burner alcohol stove on them. So that's definitely an upgrade right there. This is clever too. Just a little engineering tricks on this boat. They've created a little chart table here. We're not navigating around the Horn on this boat yet. Though there's probably no reason it couldn't. I'm looking right now at some really massive chain plates down there. I like the sight of those things. Those are serious chain plates.
I'm seeing a sign here that...
That's a very astute sign.
Especially the first 2 lines.
Very astute. That's all you need to know of the first 2 lines. Anything beyond that is superfluous. So, now look, here, what have I been talking about on these circuit breaker panels? They always stick them under the companionway where you're going to come and drip on them and so forth. Leon put them in the right place.
This folds up out of the way, or how does this work? Because there's a quarter berth back here, right?
There is a quarter berth. I know you noticed that because there was no other hatch.
Yeah.
It is very clever. You just do this with the chart table. We're in port now, so we want to get that out of the way. And they've built in a little extra catch-all down here, which is not a bad idea. But then what they've also done too, I'm sitting on a little bench here that will tip up and fold out of the way, and then you have a really pretty commodious quarter berth that they have converted just for now for storage.
Nice and tall too.
It's nice and tall, so even if there's a cushion down there, captain could probably get in there. Now, looking back the same direction, I'm gonna pull this all the way, but there's our battery banks. Very handy in their own cases, all clean, very neat and tidy.
Up out of the bilge too.
All out of the bilge. And then right beside that, there's a hatch in there too to let you into the back side of the engine. Also notice we have 2 steps here coming down into the cabin.
Oh, that's great.
Why do we like that?
Dog friendly.
Dog friendly.
Also can be physically challenged,
Yes.
adaptable.
There now. Take a look at this baby.
Oh, wow.
This is the jewel in the crown. You've got your oil filter down here, your alternator right here, and the belts are nice and tight, and the hoses look good. The hose clamps are all new and bright. The tank, the engine has just been maintained. It's just really sweet. Now we can't see the rear end, but there is a locker just around in the quarter berth that we pointed out a few minutes ago that allows you to get into the transmission. It's direct drive. And the motor mounts look brand new. There's no errant oil to speak of in the bilge. This is really nice to find.
Yeah.
And how easy would this be to work on?
For a 30-footer, this is one of the better easily accessed engines.
That's the jewel in this boat. This little unit right here is really interesting. I discovered that when I first came on the boat because I managed to hit my head once on this corner and then once on that corner. But we'd like to ask our viewers, who are very helpful quite often, to tell us what they think this is for. So I've taken that off, and then I do this. What do you think? What lives there? What did live there?
Oh.
Is that a sandwich for the man who cranks the winches? Is that his little lunch box there? Or what is that?
And we've got 2 holes that looks like they could accept a pole.
And a couple holes there. And
but nothing on the other side.
We have 2 pins right here. Nothing to match on this side. That's it. That's the sum total of the hint. We'd like to hear from anybody.
Oh, that's a good one.
This covering board, I suddenly noticed, had 2 pins, holes. And I said, we have 2 pins. Let's put this on there. And they've even got a little cutout here. This is some very specific use for this.
Yeah.
Somebody lived or did something here. So hopefully our fans will be able to tell us. And if they do, maybe the first person that sends in the correct answer, we will select from our broad expanse of merchandise and send them something special they'll never forget. Oh, yes. I wondered if you would see that.
Barely.
Yes, exactly. These people obviously hold this in high regard, I believe.
It's got its own cabinet.
Look at the headroom. People ask me about the headroom. Now, the captain's 6'1" without on bare feet and nothing on my head. So 6'3" is easy, and that's what they say.
It's pretty square, too. So
it's nicely rounded, yeah. It just barely curves over at the edges. Now, let's take a look at the head up here. Look at that. Look at the size of that. Look how clean it is. There is a shower, hot and cold water, and you get hot water at the dock. You get hot water underway with the engine. This is really an amazing amazingly well-maintained boat.
Tell me about this V-berth.
A little wider than some, but gets a little pointy up at the other end. We can flip the captain up there for a second.
I think we might have to.
Okay, well, let's see. And I'm just going to roll over. Oh, look at the room. The rollover room is great. Boys, this is a surprise. Randy, I'm shocked. I'm shocked at how much room there is here. And here's the little V filler that I can even put in from here. The nice thing about this, it's all one piece.
Oh, it's got the board built into it?
And the wood here. So you don't have two things you got to, play around with here. There we go. So, whoa.
Nice breeze, too.
And there's an incredible breeze coming through here. Why don't I ever get a pillow up here?
I think you got one last time.
I made it. That was my own. I had to make that pillow. But this, and when we get to this point in the episode, my back is saying, why don't you lie down for a while?
Yeah, take it easy.
So this is good timing. Today we got a chance to look at a boat designed and brought about by Arthur Edmonds at the behest of Leon Slickers. And it was a really neat boat. It was really surprising for both of us. The enormous amount of room inside this 30-foot boat was really spectacular. I think Randy agrees with that completely. Right, Randy?
Yeah, it felt really big.
You thought it reminded you of a bigger boat, like
yeah, Gulf Star 50 kind of scaled down.
Right, exactly. That's saying something. But anyway, the thing that was most impressive was the general condition of this boat that was 42 years old. The interior is impeccable. The exterior is in fabulous shape. And the cushions are great. But I just want to touch on a couple points about the boat because you don't always find this on a 30-foot boat today. Among other things, an enclosed head, of course, sink, and a shower, and hot and cold running water, including a brand new water heater. Out of these boats, they took this design and built a 970 hulls. And they came in actually 4 versions. There was an A and a C. The A stood for aft cockpit, C for center cockpit, and then you could have it with a 5-foot draft or a 4-foot draft. The best of the bunch, really, was the A version with the deep keel, and that's what we were on today. And it was just lovely. Everything about it was really well done. Very comfortable, and the 6-foot 3-inch headroom in a 30-foot boat, that was pretty terrific without looking like it was a moving van going down the highway. We feel pretty strong about this boat in that category and would like to, I think, possibly give it a rating. What do you think? If it floats, it gets a 10. I don't think you'd have to do anything to this boat whatsoever. That boat gets another big 5, and easily. I just feel because she was so well taken care of, we got to give her 2 more. That's a 17er. What do you think? 17, does that work? Just bring the beer, bring the sandwiches, bring the cold cuts, and maybe a can of Dinty Moore. I think I saw one on board. And go sailing right now. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when the next one comes out, please hit the alert bell. And that's not desperate at all. So we're having too good a time doing these things, so you can hit the bell or not. Randy, how would I ever find out what's coming up next?
You can follow us on Instagram here,
Yeah.
or Facebook here. We'll have little previews of what's coming up on our next episodes a little bit early.
That's pretty cool. Previews. You all join me. I'm going to Instagram right now, and I'm going to find out what's coming up next week. Thank you very much.
Instagram's not a place.